Unless you're well connected to the massive military contracting firms that are cashing in on the takeover of the continent. Because then it's in your business to know, while us lowly civilians remain in the dark, just where the Pentagon wants us to be. This month marks the 20th anniversary of the genocide in Rwanda, a horrific event lasting 100 days and leaving an estimated 2 million people dead. The conflict now serves as a testament not only to the dangerous legacy of colonialism in Africa, but also exemplifies how the international community can turn a blind eye to humanitarian crises when there's nothing to gain from military intervention. In the aftermath of the genocide, one Western-backed politician rose to power in Rwanda, Paul Kagame. See, Kagame led a Tutsi insurgency, rounding up Hutu civilians and machine gunning them down. The UN estimates that as many as 35,000 Hutu were killed in that manner. But despite being accused of war crimes and genocide, Kagame proceeded to lead Rwanda with an iron fist for the last 14 years, financially backed by the U.S. government. In fact, just last year, the small African country received over $200 million in U.S. foreign assistance, as well as hundreds of millions more in foreign aid, according to foreignpolicy.com. According to some, Western guilt regarding the genocide may explain much of the aid to a regime that continues to put out assassination attempts on Rwandan dissidents. And this week, Kagame is in the U.S. on a college tour, giving talks at very elite universities. So, to talk about Kagame and the legacy of the Rwandan genocide, as well as the conflict facing the region today, I'm joined by spokesperson for the Friends of Congo, Kambale Musavuli. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Abby.
So, following the NATO intervention in Libya, you wrote about how the U.S. only intervenes in countries if it serves its interests. What interests do you see served by having ongoing military operations in nearly every single country on the continent right now?
Well, specifically for Rwanda, it's really U.S. military interest and economic interest. Your segment earlier, you spoke about Africa. One of the staunchest allies of the United States, or the baby of Africa, is the Rwandan military. They have military operations in Darfur, in Somalia, even right now in Mali. You have Rwandan troops. Actually, the commander of the UN forces in Mali is a soldier, a Rwandan soldier, who was wanted by the Spanish court, the same court that tried Pinochet for his crime. So the two interests are there, economic and military. But now the story to know, as we commemorate the Rwandan genocide, there is a genocide that's taking place in the Congo that the world does not know. You know that over 6 million Congolese have died, but mainly due to U.S. ally Rwanda's invasion into the Congo, and that has unleashed the deaths. And it's unfortunate, as we speak, you just mentioned this week, that U.S. institutions, elite universities in the United States, are inviting a sociopath, such as Paul Kagame of Rwanda, to speak at these universities, ignoring all the crimes he has committed inside of Rwanda and also in the Congo, and pretty much washing off his hands and the blood that he has on his hands.
So, Kambale, you're saying that directly, if you kind of link back the funding here, the U.S. Inordinate amount of funding to the Rwanda annually, whether it be foreign or just assistance and aid, has actually indirectly led to the Congolese genocide going on there.
That is correct. And that's actually the call even of people of goodwill around the world. Because we are right now in a situation where people who commit atrocious crimes, if they are U.S. ally, U.S. friends, no one holds them accountable. How do you explain someone who stands accused of war crimes, crimes against humanity, and possible genocide is touring U.S. university? I should even mention now Aaron Swartz, who was a colleague. Aaron Swartz was prosecuted by the MIT for trying to provide knowledge to the people around the world. He was on your show, on our team many times. But today, while MIT prosecuted Aaron Swartz, MIT is inviting a war criminal to speak at the university.
Well, sure. I mean, we just saw Yale inviting Kissinger there, so it seems par for the course of kind of just maintaining these establishment figures. I mean, some allege that the U.S. continued to support for the Rwandan regime in the form of hundreds of millions of dollars is due to the guilt and delay in reacting to genocide there. Do you agree, or is there more to the story here?
There is a larger story. I don't believe that the U.S. did not know what was happening in Rwanda during the Rwanda genocide. Why? Because the rebel forces led by Paul Kagame in 1994 had very close contact with the United States. Remember that Paul Kagame was trained at Fort Leavenworth here in the United States. So they did have information. They decided not to take action. I do not know why they did not take action at the time. But this can be ended, right now as we speak. I will kind of speak about the current administration. President Barack Obama, as a senator, wrote a law to hold any nation accountable for destabilizing the Congo. So we are not even asking for moral principles of people to say, let's stop the Congolese genocide. We actually have a U.S. law on the books that calls for that, but the U.S. is not enforcing that because one of its allies is committing crimes, and they are going to do everything possible to cover for this ally and even provide U.S. institutions and elite university to cover for it.
But why is the U.S. So staunchly allied with Rwanda? I mean, what is it getting out of this partnership?
A lot. Militarily, as I mentioned a moment ago, is they are using Rwandan soldiers, and I should even bring up Uganda at this time, that the Ugandan troops are in Iraq, in Afghanistan. You're bringing American troops away from there, and you're filling them up with African troops. Mm-hmm. So that's that. The second part is economic. Did you know that the war in the Congo is based off of the exploitation, illegal exploitation of Congo's resources? Some of the minerals leaving the Congo are found in your cell phones and laptops and so on. And Rwanda and Uganda have pilfered Congo's resources while the world has put a blind eye. So it's economic and it's military.
You're right. I'm glad you brought up those minerals because that's a really big thing right now that no one's talking about. We have about a minute left, but I just wanted to see what you think viewers can do to raise awareness about this issue, how we can cut kind of this support for such brutal regimes in Africa and really stop paying with our tax dollars to sponsor it.
Exactly. I mentioned the law, Public Law 109456, that calls for that. So people must contact the government and ask them, what is your relationship with an oppressive regime in Rwanda? Putting pressure on Rwanda and Uganda will help in peace. The second one is within Rwanda, there needs to be a dialogue, right? The political dissidents need to be able to speak. They don't have to be killed as they are being killed right now. And our taxpayers' money is funding that. So by putting pressure on our government to allow political space in Rwanda, that will also help. And lastly, in the case of the Congo, is to support democracy in the Congo. The Congolese people have suffered tremendously for the past 2 decades, and they are working to transform the country, supporting them directly.
Thank you so much, Kambale Musavuli. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Abby.
Coming up, I'll tell you what.